Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Tonight, we are focusing on safeguarding your money and your credit cards. Angie Barnett of the Better Business Bureau will join us in a few minutes, but we begin with the big change in credit cards that is supposed to make them more secure, but has befuddled at least a few users. Joining us tonight, Wade Barnes, Senior Vice President, Director of Retail Banking at First Mariner Bank. Wade, thanks for being with us.
Jeff, thank you very much for having us.
A lot of people have gotten replacement credit cards in the mail, unsolicited. You open the envelope.
Sure.
It's a new credit card. It's shiny. It looks just like the old one, with the exception of the little chip.
That's exactly right.
What is that?
Yeah, so it's a microchip, and it's a new way in which we're processing card payments here in the U.S. So it's part of a transition to what's known as EMV, which stands for Europay, MasterCard, and Visa. And they're the networks, the three main networks that are pushing this. So while it's new to us here in the U.S., this is something that was actually enacted in Europe in 2005. So it's not new technology across the board, just new to us.
So what I've noticed as a consumer is the big merchants. Mm-hmm. You no longer swipe.
That's exactly right.
You insert the card.
That's exactly right.
We can get into that process a little bit.
Sure.
But a lot of places aren't doing it yet. Like gas stations, I've yet to see one with a chip reader.
That's right. So October 1st is a big date. I'm sure some people have heard the October liability shift date. And essentially what happened on October 1st is the liability for fraudulent transactions has shifted to the provider who is least EMV compliant. So what that means is if the card issuer does not have that chip that you were speaking about, then the card issuer could potentially be liable if the merchant in fact does have the EMV technology. So there's been that liability shift in the marketplace that's kind of been the biggest change that people are seeing.
All right, let's talk about the hardware.
Let's talk about it.
You brought a card reader, and this is the new and improved version of it.
It's the new and improved. So we've got this card, which has the chip on it. And basically, to your point, the process is just a little bit different. You know, customers are used to swiping the card through the terminal, but now it's as simple as taking the card, inserting it into the chip or into the machine. You wait just a couple seconds while your transaction processes, and then there's a loud beep to remind you to take your card with you. And you simply remove your card, transaction complete.
It seems to me it's more than a few seconds. Maybe it's my impatience. I miss the days now where you just swipe and you put it back in your wallet and go on your way. It seems like maybe it's just the stores I've been to.
Sure.
You slide it in, and there's the message in all caps, which is sort of yelling at you to do not remove the card.
Right.
And then finally it says you can.
Things always seem longer in the moment, but it's probably only a couple seconds longer than your normal transaction. I think if we're talking 10 to 15 seconds, that's probably a lot. So and in some cases where I've used mine recently, it's as quick as you can sign. That's truly what the machine's waiting for. So it just depends on how fast technology works.
That's an interesting point, because it seems like I'm being asked less frequently for a signature.
Sure.
Could that be?
That could be. As a matter of fact, and a lot of merchants have gone with transaction amounts under $50. They no longer require a signature, so the transaction just processes.
Used to be 25, maybe?
It was 25, that's right. Yeah, and that was increased. So that does help expedite some of the smaller dollar purchases, but in a lot of cases, especially moving with the chip technology, you will see signatures being required. The other change that we haven't seen here in the U.S. market right now, but is a shift we'll see down the road, is instead of signing, the transactions will move to chip, being the chip on the card, and PIN. So you'll actually enter your PIN number for every transaction. So that actually takes it to the next step to make the transaction that much more secure.
The signatures thing seems like a little bit of a farce.
Right.
My signature hasn't changed for a long time, but you wind up using sort of this stubby kind of pen.
It's just
on a not very sensitive thing, and you wind up with some chicken scratch.
That's exactly right.
And it says approved.
That's exactly right.
Love that part.
I can't even remember my own signature, so.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about this, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet a question. Our Twitter address is MPT News. So, Wade, merchants, what do merchants need to know, small businesses?
Well, look, I think the most important thing for businesses is to understand that this shift has happened. So as of October 1st, if they have equipment that looks like this or maybe more elaborate and fancy, but does not have the ability to insert the card and to read the chip, they could be liable for fraudulent transactions. And being in the business and talking with some of our merchants, one of the concerns I have is that merchants don't necessarily know how much fraud exists, because in today's world, if there's a fraudulent transaction, it's passed back to the card issuer, so the bank or Visa, MasterCard, whomever. So my concern for merchants is really to take this seriously, because there is a tremendous amount of card fraud in the industry, and we just want to make sure that they're prepared, they have the right equipment, so that liability does not shift to them for fraudulent transactions.
There's an unbelievable amount of credit card fraud.
Yeah.
It's a percentage, I don't know the number, 2, 3, 4, 5%.
That's
but if
right.
you think about the amount of money that's flying around out there.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is processing trillions of dollars of transactions every year, to the tune of probably 6 or 7. So take even just a percentage of that, which to your point, it's more like 2 or 3. That's a lot of money. That's real, and for a small mom and pop business, that could be impactful.
What about the readers? You see a gizmo that plugs into a smartphone.
Sure.
That was designed to swipe a card.
Yep.
That would be out of date now.
Like the Square type technology.
Exactly.
So the Square is actually making one that is EMV compliant. So instead of swiping the card, it will be an insert into the machine. So they too are getting on board.
Does the machine have the ability to grab the card? It used to be, it seems like nobody asks anymore, but the process used to be that you would swipe the card and the cashier would ask to see it.
Right.
To, in some places, verify the last 4 numbers or something. And I always thought that if it was a stolen card, they were not supposed to give it back.
Right.
They were supposed to keep it. I mean, can this thing eat a suspect card?
It can't eat the card, believe it or not. That'd be an interesting twist on the payment processing. But the merchant really doesn't have the responsibility to take the card or cut it up. I know that some do
start a fight
that
or something, right?
Yeah, but truly the goal is to make sure that there is authentication between the card and the machine to know that the chip is in there and either accept or deny the transaction.
Let's grab a phone call. Worcester
Absolutely.
County, this is Deborah. Deborah, thanks for calling. Go ahead. Deborah, are you there? Unless I'm doing something wrong, we'll move on for a second. There we go. So on the consumer side, we've discussed there's really, it's important to reinforce the point that this doesn't affect your potential liability.
No, it doesn't. I mean, from the consumer perspective, the difference that you're going to see is you're swiping the card or you're inserting it, the dip process. So to the customer, there's really not a big change. I think what's important for customers to know, though, is that this technology, it creates a safer paying methodology. So in today's world, when you swipe the card, the mag stripe on the back of your card is essentially just reading the card numbers that are on the front in an electronic way. Now with the chip, it truly is a one-time type of an authentication to the machine. So if for some reason that is stolen, like you've read in, Target and Home Depot have had some issues with that, there's really nothing anybody could do with that information because it was simply for that one unique transaction. So from the consumer perspective, it's just important to know that we're making the channels of paying a more secure process.
Let's try the other end of the state, Allegheny County. This is Lisa. Lisa, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm curious to know, is it required by stores to put, or I think it would be helpful for stores to put out that EMV credit cards are accepted here? Put it on their storefront so consumers coming in understand, and it's just a good communication method?
Yeah,
thanks very much.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lisa. That's one of the things that I think there's not been enough communication around this, and I think that both merchants are unaware of the liability shift to a large degree, but also consumers. That there's really a lack of understanding about what's happening. So I completely agree. There is an education piece that needs to happen here, and I think that it would be. I think merchants are going to find it a competitive advantage to say that we're now accepting these more secure payments. I think that's a good thing. So that's a good point.
Let's talk to Michael in Washington, D.C. Michael, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I understand that the chip is supposed to make the consumer more secure, but how is this consumer more secure with just a chip and a signature? Don't we actually need a PIN system to go along with the chip, since anybody could have my card and stick it in that machine?
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Michael. And I think the payment system is going to shift that way because of that very point. By entering the PIN into the equation, you've now created an environment where it's extremely difficult to duplicate the card or create any fraudulent transactions. You know, the U.S. consumer market is adopting this in steps just to create the adoption that we need to make this go over smoothly. So we'll get there. I feel very confident that we'll get there, that it'll be chip and PIN as opposed to chip and signature.
So if maybe some merchants don't fully appreciate the potential risk on their side, talk about the difference between a debit card where a PIN is generally needed,
sure,
and a credit card, because they have varying protections for consumers.
Absolutely. So, you know, debit cards oftentimes can be processed either way, either with a PIN or with a signature. Typically, consumers have that choice, whereas the credit card's always going through in the signature methodology. But, you know, what's most important, I think, for consumers to understand is when your debit card is compromised, you're talking about cold cash that's in your checking or savings account in your bank. You know, whereas if you're talking about a credit card, well, you're talking about a credit line. So, you know, if you're going to have fraudulent transactions and have money tied up, you certainly don't want that to be money that's in your checking account that's tied up, where you may not be able to pay your bills that month, or it could be, you know, it could cause some real inconveniences. So Visa, most debit cards issued with either the Visa or MasterCard logo offer very similar protections, you know, in terms of you're covered for fraudulent transactions. But to your point, pure debit cards that don't have that Visa logo or the MasterCard logo, yeah, they're not afforded the same protections that credit cards are.
Why does the gas station ask me, when you swipe the card at the pump, it says, is this a debit card?
Yeah.
They already know, don't they? Because the first four numbers tell you what kind of card it is.
That's right, yeah. The first 6 numbers typically identify the card and, you know, how it's going to be processed.
So what's up with the gas station?
That's a good question. So really, it comes back to, if your debit card has that Visa logo, but it's issued through your bank, you as the consumer have the choice to process it through the debit network or the credit network. So it can at that point go either route that you as the consumer wish.
Let's get one more phone call. Caroline County, this is Gail. Gail, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, I've been using the card for a couple of months now, and I've discovered a serious physical security problem with them. I go to use it in Walmart, and the card reader is up by the teller. While she's checking things in, I go down to my cart 5 feet away and start loading stuff into my cart, leaving my exposed card sticking there in the reader. What I found is that I do not need to put the card in until the transaction is completed, and I can come back and stick the card in when she tells me what the total is. I'm standing right there. I'm less likely to forget the card, and I certainly am not exposing it to theft.
Gail, thank you. Good tip.
Great tip, absolutely. And to your point, Gail, you don't need to actually do anything with the card until you're all rung up, you know what the total is, and it's time to make the payment.
Wade Barnes is Senior VP at First Mariner Bank. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having us on.
We appreciate it, and we're back with more on protecting your credit right after this.
Next time, join us as our search for America's hidden treasures takes us to the Windy City, Chicago.
I guess my job's done here.
No, I want to know more.
You're kidding. Oh, no.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, my God. Whoa, that's awesome.
Next time from Chicago on Antiques Roadshow.
Tonight at 9 on MPT.
Next time on I'll Have What Phil's Having.
Hong Kong, the gateway to Asia and maybe even the new center of the world.
If something's good, I want to share with you and you.
It's home to the best dim sum.
One bite, you want another one.
And spicy Szechuan that does not kid around.
I might have gotten a little extra chili in that bite.
All the thrills this city can dish out.
Whoa!
All this and more on the next I'll Have What Phil's Having.
Tonight at 10 on MPT.
What's coming up this week on Chesapeake Collectibles?
We found these documents in a hidden compartment in his desk.
Very detailed.
Exquisitely done.
And I've had it for 70 years.
He was an escaped slave from Mount Airy, Maryland.
He brought an absolute treasure here. Most of these date pre-1916.
I'm Rhea Fiken. Join me next time for Chesapeake Collectibles.
Thursday night at 8 on MPT.
And joining us in the studio now is Angie Barnett, President and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Greater Maryland. Angie, great to see you.
Great to see you.
So you heard our discussion about the newest, greatest thing in credit cards. Still some vulnerabilities out there.
Absolutely. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, the FTC today released a warning to consumers that we're all receiving these chip cards, but the scam artists are always right behind. One of the things the FTC is warning are the emails that people are receiving. We know this has happened in Maryland. We've received a couple of notices, people inquiring about it. The email will say, or a phone call will ask about, investigating, did you receive your card? If you did, please click here and have a link in which you want information.
Let me guess, you type in your credit card number.
Absolutely.
Don't do that.
The link releases malware. And if you take it for serious and you think, wow, this could be true, they want to set my card up, you turn around and give that credit card information and they've got it.
And the chip, the lack of a chip, so it's pretty easy to counterfeit a regular old-fashioned credit card.
The magnetic
thing is easy to reprogram. The chip is a little tougher. As you say, it can potentially be defeated. But if somebody's using the number for online shopping at some website, it's still just put in your number, your expiration, and the 3 numbers on the back.
Exactly, and that's where we believe, and we saw this in the UK, brick and mortar, the business, the regular kind of fraud we're used to did indeed go down over an 8-year period of time. That is wonderful. When you consider Maryland is 9th in the country for fraud, this is important to us. But what happens is the online shopping, somebody get your card information, they can still use it in the digital space. And that's where you might see fraud actually go up a little bit because scam artists, they're brilliant, talented. They have a lot of time on their hands, it seems like. That's the direction they will go.
There's a lot of them out there, too. I want to bring up this scam mapping thing. What did you call it?
It's
the
called
Scam Tracker.
That's right.
Better Business Bureau at bbb.org/scam tracker. And it shows you, and as you zoom in further, it gets a little bit more granular and shows you that there are scams taking place all the time, all over the place.
That's right.
Especially as you get into the holiday season.
All right. This is a great tool. The way you use it is you as a consumer can go in and put information about a scam you have just had occur. And that scam information goes to BBB. And we also can track a scam sweeping the nation. You can see all the places it's happening. And that also feeds into the FTC and other enforcement agencies so that they're able to track this information as well. Because collectively, that's the way to make a difference, is when we have lots of information. So it is a great new tool open to anybody to put information if you believe you're a victim of a scam. Not a complaint, but scam.
All right, let's remind everybody, if you have a question for Angie, we'll have the number on the screen, or tweet your questions to @MPT News. You were telling me about, there's something called a rush card, which is in the genre of the prepaid credit cards.
Debit card.
Debit, right, prepaid debit. Green Dot was maybe the originator or one of the innovators in this space. What's happening with the rush cards?
Oh, Jeff, we're getting so many people calling, and they're so angry. We've got it on our social media post as well. Rush card is actually a brainchild. It's been around for a while of a famous music mogul. This is to help people who don't bank. That is typically, regretfully, the low income, but they estimate anywhere close to 12 million people in 2012 was not using a bank. So this is...
We'll set it up a little more. So, I mean, it looks like a credit card or a debit card.
Mm-hmm.
It is a debit card. It's prepaid. You load money on it. You can take direct deposits. As a genre, you can direct deposit in, you can electronic bill pay out. For people who don't have access to a bank for whatever reason, it's potentially pretty useful.
Absolutely, and it was created out of that need. So you described it perfectly. But in this particular company's case, they claim they've had a technical glitch. Nobody yet knows the definition of that. This has been well over a week. But what is happening, people have money on those cards and they can't access it. So they've got bills to pay. They, have needs to meet for their family, and they're unable to use this card. It's not dispensing any of the money that's in there. So it's great concern for a lot of people. Marylanders are being impacted by this. And right now, the way the company has chosen to address it is also using social media. That's how they're putting out and saying, using, again, I keep repeating, the technical glitch. And that's great. We're glad to hear from the company. But consumers have reported to BBB they're unable to get through to anybody. It's a 24/7 customer service. They're not getting their calls answered. They're being put on hold. No one comes back to them. So it not only, you may understand there's a problem and experience the problems, but people are feeling frustrated because they feel there's no response to what is happening to them. Let's grab a phone call. Anne Arundel County, this is Alice. Alice, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. I have a question about restaurants.
Okay.
How does the chip card work when you don't have the device on your table or close to you to see?
Great question. You imagine you always put the card in that little tiny envelope thing, and they carry it away somewhere where there would be a machine that read the chip. Right. The PIN would be an issue. If we get to the point where you need to put in your PIN, they would have to bring it to you.
Yes. Now, we also know we're seeing a trend where even restaurants are they have the ability to pay right there at the table. We're seeing that more and more. But I think your earlier caller and Mr. Barnes were able to discuss the need to not let that card get out of your sight, and that's what you encourage people to do.
And in a restaurant, you're just handing it to somebody
we
and they
do
walk
it
off.
So many times, yes.
Let's talk to Joyce in Baltimore County. Joyce, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, I have a credit card that allows me to debit up to $200. I've reached that debit limit and still have credit to use on the card, but when I put the PIN number in, I think it's on my credit card, and that they think that I'm trying to get cash out, but I'm just charging a purchase, which I still have credit on that charging possibility.
Joyce, thank you very much. That's beyond me.
That's
it's
beyond
like a hybrid
me, but
card.
I would really encourage them on the back of all our credit cards. It's usually should always be a 1-800 customer service number. She should call that number that's on the back of her card. And Jeff, that is so important to always use the number on the back of our cards, because remember, a fraudster can send you a phone number to call, and you're just talking to somebody in a garage.
I did that recently.
Yes.
I had a message from the credit card company saying there'd been a suspicious charge. Call us back at this number, and I did. And I was pretty sure I was talking to the right place, but no, the correct thing to do is to call the number on the back of the card.
On the back of the card, or use third-party vetting for yourself, and that's simply using your internet browser. Put in the creditor that you're trying to call. But in her case, we really hope she calls the back of that card, the customer service number, and let them answer that question for her.
Montgomery County, this is Marilyn. Marilyn, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, I feel very secure when I do not put my numbers in, and I use PayPal. I feel very confident about PayPal. Should I feel so confident?
Thank you very much. Boy,
I can answer this from a better business perspective. From BBB, PayPal does, they have ups and downs, but they do have overall what we consider, in our opinion, to be a decent track record, meaning they do everything they can to protect you, the belief that they hold that money and really try to create trust in the marketplace between the buyer and the seller. They have a good track record overall when you talk about how big they are, and again, all these issues. So I'd say keep doing business with them.
Before I run out of time, I want to talk about the IRS scam. This is a long-running scam, flares up from time to time. Somebody calls up, says you owe money to the IRS. What's it about?
Right. Well, and I brought this up because I've been a victim of it in that I've gotten the calls myself.
You didn't fall
I didn't
for
fall
it.
for it,
All
but
right.
I got the calls. And what these calls right now, they're much more threatening. I would say they've escalated. The calls are the IRS has filed suit against you. Please call us about this case. So they're using words, filed suit, case. That makes you go, gosh, this must be serious. In this case, they're leaving numbers. If you call the numbers back, which I did, you're basically talking to somebody with a foreign accent. That's another tip-off. And I would say IRS will never call you. They will write to you first, and they only call you if they can't get in touch with you. And Marylanders really need to be careful. This is sweeping.
Important stuff. Angie Barnett, Better Business Bureau, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.